How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, King Calf, and we're talking about some more early impressions on some newly released games. This time we're going to be looking at The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, that was just released for the Nintendo Switch. And before we get kind of into the game, I just gotta be honest with everyone. Obviously, this is my first Nintendo Switch game that I'm talking about, and that's because I haven't even looked at my Nintendo Switch in the last 2 years. Ever since the PS5 and the Series X dropped, I just became spoiled from no loading times and 60 FPS minimum. Now, going back to a Nintendo Switch game that's going to be running 30 FPS just never seemed appealing to me. And I got a PC after, and then I was playing 120 FPS, 160 FPS, 240, even higher depending on the game that I'm playing. So going back to 30 FPS was just like, nah, man, like I'm not down for that. But you know what? When a new Legend of Zelda game comes out, you gotta check it out. And to be honest, like before you guys raise your pitchforks, let me just be completely clear with you guys. I'm not really a huge Zelda fan. I played a couple. I beat the original Ocarina of Time, I beat Twilight Princess, and I beat Breath of the Wild. So this is my fourth Zelda game that I'm truly getting invested into. And I just gotta be honest, like I'm gonna give kudos to Nintendo. They made a great game with Tears of the Kingdom. I'm about 10 to 15 hours in, so again, these are just early impressions of what I've been dealing with so far. And man, I'm having a great time. I'm having a really great time. I feel that this is truly an improvement on Breath of the Wild. Now, if we can just get that Switch Pro so we can play a game like this in 60 FPS or in 4K, that would be perfect. That would be perfect. I think that I would actually be invested into Nintendo systems again. But until that happens, I got the Steam Deck for some handheld 60 FPS or, some better performance. But we're not talking about the Steam Deck. We're talking about the Nintendo Switch and Tears of the Kingdom. So I just want to start off with the story. I'm not going to give any spoilers. Even in the video, we're going to be showing the first 3 to 4 hours of the game. I know people are very, very particular with spoilers, especially with their Legend of Zelda games, so we're not going to go into that right now. Give that a little bit more time and you'll start seeing spoilers of the story and stuff. So for now, we're just going to keep it simple. But the story, I'm really liking it. I'm actually invested into it, and I'm really happy that Nintendo chose to go more with the story, to put it more on the front lines, because I felt that Breath of the Wild, I know what they were going with that game. They wanted the freedom. They wanted you to, have the story unravel in your own terms, and you kind of give your own impression of what the story is. But this one is more in the front lines. There's a lot more cutscenes. The voice acting is actually surprisingly good. I was very surprised at how good the voice acting was. And the animations too in the cutscenes, like they really put a lot of time in the cutscenes, and there's numerous cutscenes, even so far where I am in the game at the moment. And I'm really enjoying it. I do prefer in my single player games to have a little bit more story. Even though I like From Software games and the story is a lot more in the backseat, and you have to kind of find the story. You have to go out of your way to find the story. It's done differently in From Software games, but I'm glad that Tears of the Kingdom chose to have your more traditional story beats. I think it's a really good job on Nintendo, and I'm invested. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm definitely feeling like I'm gonna have to stick with this game because I just want to see what happens. So I think the most important part of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is the world. Now, I know that a lot of people are wondering if the world is the same as Breath of the Wild. And my answer to that is yes and no. So you are in the same Hyrule. The Hyrule is pretty much the exact same as what you saw in Breath of the Wild. But that's not bad because the map in Breath of the Wild, I mean, they had Hyrule just so grand. There were so many places you can go. You see something, you can climb it, you can get there. You can get there and somehow, whatever way is going to work for you. And it's a great game design. That's excellent game design. Giving the true freedom to allow someone to be able to get to from point A to point B, and even jump to point Z, however they want. I think that's a great game design because it allows the players to have their own creativity. But that's not the only map in this game. I mean, minor spoilers, and this has been in other reviews, so I'm not gonna feel bad spoiling this, but there is obviously the Sky Kingdom, which is up above, and you can explore that. The Sky Islands aren't as big as the original map in Hyrule, but there's a lot of places to go in the sky so far. I haven't beaten the game, so I'm sure that there's a lot more that I haven't seen. But then eventually you do find out that you can actually go to the depths of Hyrule. You can go underground. And from what I've heard, underground is the exact size of Hyrule, meaning that there's almost 3 maps in this game. I'd say 2.5, because I know the Sky Islands aren't nearly as expansive as Hyrule, but you're getting 2.5 maps in this game. And now the underground map, it's not there's not as much verticality obviously as what's in Hyrule, just because you're underground. But I mean, it's kind of crazy when you go there for the first time because everything's dark. You have to throw these seeds that emit light, and you have to make sure that you strategically put them in places so that you can see a decent amount ahead of you, because without that you can't see. And on top of that, there's this new substance called gloom that when you touch it, it permanently hurts you. And it's a pretty cool design, and the only way to actually heal from it is to go above ground. And I think it's a really cool game mechanic. I mean, it's almost like you're going to the depths to find better loot and to fight crazier enemies. It's like a true dungeon, it's like a grinding dungeon almost, to get better stuff for your character that you can use on their main quest or in actual Hyrule. And I think it's a great addition. So to my answer about the map, I think the map's great. There's a lot to do. There's characters, there's NPCs, there's a lot of enemies doing their own thing, a lot of wildlife, and then you got the underground and the Sky Kingdom, which I think are just 2 great additions to the game. So overall, I think the map is great in this game. Again, I haven't seen anything. My answer on that could change, but as of now, 10 to 15 hours in the game, I find myself seeing new things that I feel aren't completely a retread of what we saw in Breath of the Wild. So the gameplay has definitely seen some revisions in the game as well, and that mainly comes from the Ultra Hand. The Ultra Hand is a new mechanic in the game, and it allows Link to do certain things such as, revert time, pick up objects and fuse them together, fuse weapons with other items on the ground or other weapons, and also another thing called Ascend, where you can kind of shoot yourself up to go through, some stones that can allow you to increase your verticality to get places easier. I think they're really great mechanics. I think that they have the potential to be a lot more grand in the game, but overall, the gameplay hasn't changed that much. It's still the same things that you saw in Breath of the Wild. Your weapons still degrade when you're fighting. You're still trying to find fruits and other objects that you can use to benefit yourself. You still get cold in cold weather, and you gotta, either put better clothes on to stay warm or eat certain objects that are going to be able to help you through the cold. Um, a lot of that has returned. The biggest gripe I have is the weapon durability. I was really hoping they were going to get rid of that because I was not a fan of that in Breath of the Wild. And it's not even that I don't like the whole weapon durability mechanic in other games. I just felt that they were just too flimsy in Breath of the Wild. And I was hoping that they were going to improve it or remove that mechanic in general. But sad to say, it's back. Whatever. I mean, it gives you a new way to strategize your equipment. That's okay, I guess. It's good to have something that's going to make you think. But overall, I mean, the gameplay's still fun. If you enjoyed Breath of the Wild, you're definitely going to enjoy this game. Now, if you didn't enjoy Breath of the Wild, I think that there's some improvements that might help you like it, like Tears of the Kingdom more. But overall, I'd say if you didn't like Breath of the Wild, you're probably not going to enjoy Tears of the Kingdom all as much as well. So definitely keep that in mind before you pick up the game, especially that this is the first Nintendo game that's $70 US, $90 Canadian. Man, I don't know. I mean, I can see the justification with Sony and Xbox because they're using a lot more advanced technology, and which increases obviously the the cost of creating those games. Nintendo's still using the same hardware, so I think it's more to the fact that they saw that Sony and Xbox were getting away with it, so they wanted to jump in on that $10 increase. It is what it is. At least with this game, you're getting a 100-hour plus game, you're getting a full experience, so sure, justify that $70, $90. Go for it, dude. I was also kind of hoping that they improve the combat, giving us some more tools to use. With the Ultra Hand, with the fusing mechanic, you do get a little bit more options in combat, but I was hoping to get like, some more combos or some more moves that you could use. I don't know if that changes later on in the game, but so far where I am, it's kind of the same thing that you saw in Breath of the Wild. And I know The Legend of Zelda's never been like a crazy combat series. You mainly just have like your dodges, your backflips, your jump slashes, your spin slashes. Like you have all of those in all your Zelda games. But I was just hoping that we'd get a little bit more. But it's all right. The combat's still all right. It's enjoyable. I don't dread getting into combat. The only thing I do dread is that at the beginning of the game, man, the game is hard. Enemies hit you hard. They take away like more than half your hearts each hit. Even some of the boss fights as well, like they can like one shot you at the beginning, but it gives you that goal to get better loot and get better equipment so that you can take on these enemies and actually have a fighting chance. And another thing I did like is that the checkpoint system in this game is very generous. Like if you die in a fight, you usually just respawn like right before the fight. So I do like that the checkpoint system is that forgiving, because if it wasn't, oh man, there'd be so much lost progress, or you'd have to do a lot of manual saves in this game. But overall, the combat's still enjoyable. I think that Nintendo saw that it worked in Breath of the Wild, and fix what's not broke. So that's cool with me. I definitely feel the shrines are an improvement of what was in Breath of the Wild. In Breath of the Wild, like after like the 20th temple, I was kind of done with them. Like I only really did them to increase my vitality so I can get the Master Sword. And after I got the Master Sword, I just stopped doing them and just beeline to the main story. But this one, I'm actually enjoying them. I think they have some pretty cool puzzles. They're, again, not too hard, but they do definitely make you stop and think for a little bit, which I like. I think that's the perfect middle ground for a puzzle. Like I don't want something that I'm gonna have to bash my head or search up how to fix it or do it or whatever. Like I want something that's gonna be like the solution is pretty easy, but you gotta think about that solution. I think that the puzzles are really fun in this game, and they definitely utilize the Ultra Hand in a pretty cool way, either rotating objects so they can fit through certain holes, or using your time skip to your time revert so that you can make an item go backwards that can benefit you in the puzzle. I think they're really cool. Nintendo definitely thought outside the box in some of these puzzles, and I can only imagine that they're gonna get more complex and more difficult as I go further in the game. So I'm very excited about that. The puzzles, they did a great job. Now, I know another big question from a lot of people is the performance. So the performance isn't bad. You're mostly getting a steady 30 FPS both in docked and undocked. The game definitely looks a lot better in docked mode, in my opinion. I've mainly been playing docked. I know I'm weird. Just leave me alone, okay? I don't have the OLED model. I know that this game probably looks significantly better on the OLED model just because the colors would pop a lot more and the game is very colorful. But unfortunately, I do not have the OLED model just because, again, I hadn't turned my Switch on in 2 years. I wasn't about to drop in Canada for $69.99 for an OLED game, Switch for one game. Like, no, I'll just wait till the Switch 2 or Switch Pro comes out and I'll drop the money on that. But until then, like, I'm chill with my launch Switch. It still works. Knock on wood. Please continue to work. But I'm cool with it. So the performance was pretty good. There are some times when you're using the Ultra Hand, especially when you're building or highlighting things, where you can get a little bit of a slowdown. I think the biggest slowdown I saw was maybe about 10 FPS going. So the game was running at 20 FPS, but it fixed itself very quickly. Um, I think that the frame rate's a lot more stable than what we're seeing in Jedi Survivor and Redfall and all these other, in quote, AAA games that are coming out. So performance is good. I'm actually very impressed that this. scale of a game is able to run still on a Nintendo Switch, especially a base Nintendo Switch. Like, I'm impressed that it's working fine. And you know what? Earlier in the video, I was saying I'm spoiled with 60 FPS and I couldn't even go to 30 FPS. This game's running pretty good at 30 FPS. Like, I am not hating it. Like, I don't mind it. I'm getting used to it again. And I feel like that just goes to the type of games, you know, the true experience of the game. Because when I played Persona 5 Royale for the first time, this was before the next gen update came out, and I played that at 30 FPS, and I beat that game after 120 something hours. So I played 120 hours, 30 FPS, and I loved every second of it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And you know what? When a game is that good, you do not mind the frame rate. So I guess that's just kind of saying that I'm enjoying Tears of the Kingdom. I think it's a great game. I'm actually addicted to it. Like, this video isn't going to be super long, and it's because, well, for one, I'm giving you my early impressions, and I'm not complaining like I did in my Redfall video. Definitely go check that out if you want to see me bitch about a game. But I'm really enjoying this. I'm pretty addicted, and I can't wait to go back. So if you had any reservations about this game, and if you liked Breath of the Wild and you're wondering if this is just Breath of the Wild 1.5 and not a true sequel, like, nah, it's a sequel, man. Go pick it up. You're not gonna regret it. Especially if you want just like a nice, comfortable game that you can take on the go and you can play and just discover things on your own. Like, this is the game for you. So overall, 10 to 15 hours in, I think this is a great game, and I'm excited to see what else comes from it. But that's all I got for you guys right now. Definitely a lot shorter video than my last two videos. Just wanted to give some early impressions on Tears of the Kingdom and why I think that this is a great game. And again, I'm excited to continue it. I still have two more videos coming out. Jedi Survivor video should be done by next week. I'm working on my other video that I'm going to release, and that should be done hopefully in about 2 weeks. Um, but definitely hit that subscribe button if you want to catch those. I really hope that you guys enjoyed my take on this game, and are you picking it up? Leave a comment below and let me know if you're picking up Tears of the Kingdom, and if you did, what's your favorite part of it? If you didn't want to pick up Tears of the Kingdom, why didn't you want to pick it up? Leave all those in the comments, and I'm excited to see your guys' thoughts. But anyways, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.